Sometimes a sheet contains a lot of text in each cell. In this short video, I'm going to show you a couple of ways to see and edit the text. Broadly speaking, you can either enlarge some or all of the cells in the sheet, or you can just look at the contents of a single cell. Either way, you can also edit the text in the cells. Don't worry too much about damaging a sheet. Google allows you to go back through all previous changes and to restore the sheet to an earlier version if necessary. Here is part of the mock exam question sheet, structured to make it easier to import the contents into an exam form or a database, like Moodle or ExamSoft. This is why we use spreadsheets to create exam questions, rather than word process documents. We separate the question, the answer choices, the references, and other information into distinct parts, instead of running them all together. It's harder for us to read, but it's much easier to manage when moving information into another type of software. When you first create a sheet, all the columns are the same width by default. You can see that column A should be a very narrow column, since it will never be more than about 3 characters wide. It's easy to make this column narrower or wider. Simply click on the line between the columns and drag to change the column width. The other way to do it is to click over the line between columns A and B and then just double click. Google Sheets will automatically set the column width to the widest amount of text in that column. So why not just set all the columns to fit the text automatically? Well, you can do that. Here's our question here. There's answer A, B, C, D, and the correct answer. But when we get over to column H, which has quite a lot of information in it, if you double click on that, now you've made column H really, really wide. And you can see that by scrolling across here, it jumps. The screen is going to jump between column H and column I, and it's kind of difficult to figure out how to reset the column to some manageable width that isn't a lot of characters long. So while the double clicking to automatically set column width idea sort of works, it's probably not your best option. You can also, of course, double click on a row to automatically set the height to the highest amount of text in that row. And that works really nicely. The problem is that when you get to a sheet that's got a lot of text in it, like this one does, 43 questions, you've got to do an awful lot of scrolling to get from the top to the bottom, which makes reading more difficult. And also, as you can see here, we'd really have to fiddle around with adjusting the text for every single question, and if you've done it for one, it isn't going to apply very well to another. So double clicking on row height is probably not the best approach either. Here's another way that allows you to display all of the rows in your spreadsheet a little more easily, and then just work selectively with individual cells. First thing we want to do is highlight all of the rows in this sheet. Then right click and select Resize Rows 2 through 44. You can see that it is set now to Fit to Data, but if you click on instead Specify Row Height, you'll return your spreadsheet to the point where there's only one question per row, which makes it a little easier to get an idea of what's in all of the questions in that row. Now let's return back to our little sample spreadsheet to play with the text that's in here. Here's a way that I'd suggest might work for you to deal with large amounts of text in a cell. The first way is to simply double-click on that cell, and Google Sheets will automatically open up to fit the widest amount of text that's in that particular cell. While you're in here, you can highlight, you can change, you can add additional text. And then you either hit Enter or you click outside that cell to move somewhere else in the sheet. Another way to do it is to go up here to the line at the top of your screen, hover your mouse until you see a double-ended arrow, and then simply drag down to give yourself more room to see everything that's in that cell. And again, you can click in here, you can edit, add information, delete information, and press enter to get outside of it. The advantage of setting it up this way is that now if I'm just interested in looking at the references for all of the questions in that sheet, I can simply use my arrow keys to go up and down and navigate through all of the questions, or indeed all of the cells in that sheet, and see what's in them in this box at the top. And I've done that without substantially altering the formatting of the spreadsheet itself.